Okay, so they have settled down into buying ground for Japan. Three of them had to go into Tokyo. The rest went down and through these four. We're going to continue making sure you can't build out this factory for a while. Um, I'm also thinking I'm going to try and I might just these 11 fighters. It's tempting to strike these guys and have Russia. I'm going to have the Russian infantry and two fighters. I think strike this guy, and if we have success there, I might just have the UK guys hit there and just keep hitting these small units with heavy air. But for now, we're going to build 9 infantry, 3 artillery, so that's 12 ground and another transport. So one more transport will get me back up to 10, which is where I like to be on the US. So 12 grounds gives me 2 here, 10 coming back. That 10 is going to be for 2 for the one being built, and then 8 for these guys going out. We got 6, 8, 10 coming into here. We've got 5 transports going in 10. With all this heavy air, I think I'm just going to save as much of my US guys together as I can. At least in the stack that's eventually trying to put pressure here. I do want to make them use their units up though. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Well, you know what? I am going to be hitting these. Let's leave a guy back. Because he's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 territories to hit. So let's give him 2s to hit. We are going to get that guy. That's nice. Bam, bam, bam. Alright, pretty successful all around there. The good news too is taking Persia, UK will actually get that point before we lose it again, because Germany can't take it back from them. So, alright. He's got... he's prone to air there. I think we'll just keep him with the stack. If we put him in there, he could airstrike me like I've been doing to him. Do we want to move one in advance? I think I want to do that. So where we're threatening Persia with the air and whatnot. I think we are going to pull one of them. We're just going to keep it cheap. Give them cheap trades this turn. So we went down to one there. So we do got fighter coming. Okay, good. 3, 6, 9 fighters. I want to get a bomber in range of that guy. Alright, I don't think I'm going to push the tanks forward at this point. I think I will... 2, 3, 4. So we still have 3, 5 fighters. That would be in range of there. So, and the tanks. So I'm going to put 1 infantry here with the tanks and the fighters to get ready to wipe this guy. And we're not going to put the tanks in here. We're going to use this guy. We're going to take the 1 infantry 2 fighter on 2 infantry. See how that goes first. If we clear these guys, then we can airstrike these 4 and just land the planes naked, and I'm okay with it. If we don't clear them, then we may have to set the sea. But I don't want to put a U.S. tank there, not knowing for sure that I'm going to do one way or the other. So we're going to wait and see what happens, and then we can decide on UK's turn what we want to do there. This leaves us flexibility. Let's see. We're going to have 3, 4, 6, 14, 15, 17 again. 10, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so we're going to have a 17 no matter what. So that'll give me 18. So that'll give me a 6 by next turn and gets me another artillery for trading these guys as we start to pull the barrier back again. Oh, come on, fighters. We need more out of us than that, fighters. There you go. Alright, I'm okay with losing the infantry for it. I mean, it'd been nice to take the territory too, but he'll walk into it before US ever gets it, so that's not a big deal. It's more to do with the fact that we can airstrike these guys. Which I guess I did put that guy out. That he could hit him now. You know what? Let's do that. What would that do? 4 and 1. So we would have 31. 2 tanks. Have 5 fighters for sure. He's gonna have 24, 16, no tanks, 8 fighters, 1 bomber. Oh wait, we'd have 3 infantry, that's right. 4 and 1. So 3 artillery, 2 tanks, 5 fighters, 24, 16, 8 fighters, 1 bomber. That's without the AAs. Alright, never mind. We're gonna keep these guys back. Alright, so how are we looking here? We are looking at 258, 224, 34. I feel like we've been hovering right around that for a while. He's hitting at 85, 98, so.
Okay, so Germany built the ground as expected. Combats were trading Bello, Baltic, Northwest France. I think he lost 2 infantry, 1 in each of the Baltic and Bello. And otherwise redistributed again, pushing some infantry out to Ukraine. I think he's more now. The goal is to be able to get a double stack down here again. So I think that's what he's shooting for. Especially since we don't have a lot of others. I do think we're going to try to stack Belarusia. I think is going to be our goal. It'll depend on what exactly Japan does, of course. So we'll wait to see before we commit anything there. So, in any case, we're going to go ahead. We only had 26 IPC since we failed France last time, so we didn't have as much money to spend. So we're just going to buy 6 infantry, 2 artillery. Those are buying 8. Buying it ahead because I think we're getting ready to go ahead and buy the 4th transport for UK. Since we're contesting, and I don't think he can get a real strong contestant here and still do anything with resupporting Berlin or getting forces to Moscow. So, I mean, he's got his 2 here. We've got 4 here. We got all this air that we can contest him with. So, I think he's going to be limited in what exactly he can do. I'm not even sure, with my air. I mean, he can come here, but then of course I can move my air down, and so lots of things that can happen here still. Of course, I gotta be a little bit leery of removing these guys from being at a point where they can't reach Moscow, of course. So we gotta be a little bit careful about that, but I don't think that'll limit us. I think we'll be able to get enough down to contest a battleship cruiser with the bomber down here. We'll see. We'll worry about that that's a U.S. turn problem. But we're going to do 6 infantry, 2 artillery. Now, I was thinking about starting to SBR them, but after last time, I'm not sure I feel super thrilled about that. So I think maybe we'll do it this way. Let's go. No, I forget about the cruiser. So yeah, let's just let the cruiser do that and yeah, something like that. Probably not the most efficient. I do want to leave one of these guys back because it makes Moscow a little bit more than I would want to if I didn't. But we're going to take a shot at these guys again because I'm trying to prevent him from getting enough ground units in here to be able to pull the double stack again. I want to keep this factory offline. So this is like technically a 1.2 positive for them. It really depends how many hitbacks he gets. Obviously, 1 hitback is positive for us, 2 is him. So here we go. Make sure you only have 8 fighters and a bomber that can hit back. Okay. Yay, the cruiser got a hit. We never seem to have those cruisers hit. At least half the time they don't hit. Wah, wah, wah. Of course, the 4 infantry didn't need any air support. But glad we sent both transports because we want that money for the UK. All right, good. And whiff. Big whiff. 2 hitbacks. All right, well, in my assumptions, I made the assumption you get 2 hitbacks, so I'm not horribly upset about that. Let's see, I think that's it. And there we go. Eight fighters on 4 is 32. 8 fighters on 3 is 24, 28. So it's on our side. That's why it was important that the Russians we're able to kill that one guy down here, so he has no infantry buffer and no tank buffer, so he's got to risk air versus air. I'm more dominant in air versus air, and thinning these guys out would help me be able to move a little bit more with my fleet, so I'm okay if he decides to take the 9 versus 8 air battle. Who knew it could come down to a all air aces battle over middle China?
All right, so we're continuing on. They built focus on the ground. They did build more tanks, so they're trying to get some timing going here. We're going to be play a little risky here. We're going to play a little bit thin. Um, let's see. He did do attack Persia, didn't lose anything there, and then he blitzed his tanks through. Attack Kaza, no losses. Event guy, no loss. 34, no loss. So he had a good combat round that round. So that means we're going to be a little bit thin. It means we're not going to drop units into North Africa like I had planned on this turn. We'll plan on it next turn instead. So we got 5 transports leaving, so we're going to need 10 ground for them. We're putting 2 air into Sea Zone 3. We're a little thinner on the units than we'd like. These 3 fighters all need to make it to West Russia to do a double stack, so we're going to try and pull a double stack of West Russia and Moscow is the plan here. Say, I just realized we could have maybe been able to hit him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 3 fighters, 3 tanks, 6, 7. Yeah, not really. We're short somebody, aren't we? 1, 2, 3. Oh wait, yeah, no, we can do that. That's what's different. It's like I thought we had this planned out. These guys can go 1, 2, 3, and then land there. This guy we can't use because we need him to land in West Russia. That's better. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. That's gonna be brutal. The little things you count on, they aren't going well. That infantry 9 fighters starting in Karelia is going to be an issue. That's nice at least. Big whiff. Alright. Nice. Alright, that's good at least. Small battles, small battles. Small victories. Need them all. There we go. Good. All right. So Corellia is going to be tough, but we should still be able to get our full stacking here. So moving them here gives me threats on both of these two. He's got 3 transports, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you have to take care of. We're going to have 12 fighters and a bomber here, versus the best he could do is 3 battleships, a loaded carrier, and a cruiser. So we will have C-Zone 34 dead zones pretty good. Now he can take Persia with these, but then the 3 J transports can only do 1, 2, 3. They can't do all 4. So that in mind, I think we're going to move him forward so that we can continue to trade here. Now he could take these 3, and I'm not going to have any clearance back here, and I don't have any threat on Egypt. But I don't want to put them in here because they'd be dead zone because I'm putting all my fighters up this way. So a little bit of a tricky situation. I thought about maybe pulling the infantry back so that we could use him on Egypt, but I think I want to continue to pressure Persia here with our big air stack. And C-Zone 30, fact that C-Zone 34 is dead zone because he can't get all 5. So we're going to be able to hit 34 with whatever he puts in there. So if he puts a transport to there, going for sacrifice. If he puts more boats in there, then we'll wipe out his whole fleet. Potentially. Alright, I'm going to pause for a second and double check my numbers on everything, make sure we got everything adding up the way it's supposed to. Alright, this has a chance to get very bloody, but we're going to go with it. I have a rush, and I don't really want to think too much harder on this, and I may end up shooting myself in the foot. Alright, let's see how this goes. Alright, so like I said, I think we're gonna go ahead and get up to our 4th transport, start putting a little bit more trading and pressure, plus be able to get a leak a few more of the UK units, because I have to continue to use 6 on here. And I'd really like some UK units to be trading up on that side. So we're gonna go 4 infantry, 2 artillery, 1 transport. I think we'll go ahead and build the extra infantry. That gives us the extra 1 here, so we have an 8th spot. That maybe we can build a fighter next turn. If we take both of these, we'll have 31. We can build 7 infantry, it'll be 21 plus 1 of these guys, and then a fighter for 31. So, although you know what, kind of like the idea of possibly buying a bomber with that. So let's see. We would have That do it? We'd have one extra. We have to buy 7 infantry, be 21. We're gonna have 30. We got 23 plus 8. We're gonna get 31 points. So that would give it to me, right? So we would have 33 points with say 2 saved, 21 to build, 12 for bomber. There we go. Do you want to hit him with? Unfortunately, we need these infantry in West Russia to make it a non-profitable battle for Japan. And I really want to hit one of these guys, but we're going to give him a chance to blitz his tank and use all his air and hit my 5 US guys there again. But, I mean, he does have other targets he should be concerned about with the Japan air too, so I'm hoping that, maybe we can get lucky on that one. Yeah, I think that'll be it on the text there. Nice. Nice. Alright, we got the points that we wanted, so we should be able to get a bomber next turn. Actually, I don't think I need the bomber there. We don't have much threat from Japan moves up. Just bails. Yeah, let's add him in there. Let's check something real quick. Alright, so we got AA, 20 infantry, 9 artillery, 3 tanks, 14 fighters, and a bomber. Let's check Moscow. Do have 9 fighters and a bomber, 30 A2 and an AA. Alright. So we got, again, we got 9 units in here. So we'll be able to just need, we'll use 8 of them next turn, build 7 and a bomber, because we should have 33. So this puts us 281 to 245. We are getting ready for Japan turn. Oh, he's already spent. We had 49, 48, so Japan, Russia, or US are about the same. So, alright, well, he's already going. Alright, so if you're going to US 20, J20, again, pretty standard buy. He's been buying these 3 tanks at a turn and 11 other ground. He hit a Venkai, no loss, took Sinkang. Kaza, he did lose 2 infantry, killing my 2 artilleries there. Persia, he hit no losses, and he did an airstrike on Transjordan with no loss. So he then moved his fleet into here with 3 transports looking to drop off. So he can hit C-Zone 28, 33, or 34. Meanwhile, up here, I will not be able to keep the double stack between him building 4 and bringing 3 and really 4 tanks up to add to the West Russia pressure. For each one of these, I needed a unit in each of these to be able to add. And I'm only able to add these 5 units into it, plus them building 5. So I'm only able to add 10, and I needed 15 or so. Maybe I could get a couple fighters in. I could try and play all these fighters in, but then I would have to move the fleet out and stop trading these. And so I haven't, I could have really crunched that. I'm not. We're just going to move forward with the play. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack the Horn of Africa with 11 fighters coming on down here. And that way he's got a choice. He could land here with these guys, but 11 fighters and a bomber. My bomber's going to be here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 11 fighters and a bomber can wipe any of these 3 C zones. So if he chooses to go to one of them, well, then he's gonna either just have to sacrifice a transport or put his fleet in there and let me wipe his whole fleet. So he's gonna gain ground. He'll be able to go to Egypt, and I won't be able to counter it. I am dropping troops here, and I'll be here, but we're gonna be a little bit out before we can counter Egypt. So he will be able to kind of take Egypt and not have a counter. I'm going to put 1 artillery back to threaten South Africa. So he did it. He needed really confidently to put 2 transports there. And again, that'll be dead zone, so I'll be killing 2 transports. So we're going to make it where he's going to have to either keep his troops on the boat, and then he can be threatening back this way, and then we got to start worrying about all of that. Or we're going to have him in a... These will be all dead zone, so the best he could do is come to 29 and then next turn to 27 if I don't come over and put a dead zone on that. So any case, we're going to try and deflect them with the big US air, and let the US stacks move up here for right now. So we're going to build 14. I'm going to put a tank and an infantry over here simply because he is sitting with this US transport threatening to go over here. You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I forgot. I think I just want to drop a sub over there. Change my build here. Let's see. So we're just going to drop a sub there, and if he decides to drop it, we'll take him, and then we'll worry about countering it. So our base build, we need 2 here, we need 10 here, so there's our base build. I think I'm going to go ahead and build an extra man so that if he does take that, we can plug this with 1 infantry and then build here. And then just keep building a little bit of artillery. We're trying to build up our manpower. We're starting to get a little bit, especially after this next move of moving some units in here, we're going to start getting a little bit artillery heavy for US to be able to continue trading. So I really should start getting a little bit more heavy on the infantry and build a, you know, get another bomber going or something. But we don't quite have enough this turn to do that. Because I'm going to put a sub here because he's got no destroyer and these boats are all over there. I probably should sit and calculate how many I need to come back. But we're going to be able to walk through this way. These guys are going to go here, then they can go this way if need be. So we're going to move 8 back for this turn and push everything else. And keep my tanks back here because the tanks can always blitz back and around. Or actually, I'll probably move my tanks up to here where they can go either way the next turn. We're going to let Russia take care of him this time. We could hit these guys, but I don't know that it's really worth it because I really want to get the dead zone and I don't want to risk losing a fighter. Because even if we kill him, he still can drop in here and hit these guys. So we're going to let them be. We are going to expose the 2 infantry and AA of UK to the Germans, but I don't think. I mean, maybe he wants to attack that with straight infantry, but I don't think it's his ideal attack. Just realized I probably should have calculated out that Belarusia. Because UK's not going to put an air in there. The only air I'll be able to put is these 2 Russian infantry or 2 Russian fighters into there. So, and he's got 21 that can hit. So we do need to calculate that out a little bit. I'm okay bringing one of these guys in. Let's see, these 2 guys. Oh, you know what? Almost forgot. He doesn't need any protection because Germany just has fighters and his J bombers up here this turn, so we can drop him off for free. These fighters 1, 2, 3, nowhere to land. These fighters 1, 2, 3, nowhere to land. Bomber 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're safe with the bomber landing free there. This bomber 1, 2, 3, 4 5, 6. Only threatens if Germany holds on to Northwest Europe. I don't think he's going to take it in a stack, and so otherwise UK should be able to take it before they go, so you shouldn't even be able to hit it at all. But we're going to leave one fighter just in case to be on the safe side. Alright, let's see that bellow. Yeah, probably don't need to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and do that instead of Corellia. We can always trade and then blitz them through if we need them in a pinch. Yeah, I think that's where we're going to go out here. And to do a little bit of calculating and thinking there. I apologize about the delay, but I was just looking at some of the different aspects there. Let's grab one of these infantry. I didn't mean to put them all there. We're going to put over there. Again, just so you can block up that way. We're going to save our 2, mainly because we're going to hope they have 2, 3, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Save 2 will give us 18 next turn for 6 build. Yeah, I think we're just going to do the 2 and 2 strike here after all. Alright, there we go. Nice clean hit. So I like pushing 2 Russian infantry up here because I wouldn't mind trading with the Russians to get Ukraine next time, or possibly coming back and getting here if they need to, um, just to add some points to Russia being able to build. So in that way we can save a few U.S. troops since we only got a little bit of UK coming through. And I prefer to save the U.S. from trading whenever possible. Alright, so here's what the war report's looking like. That looks like it's caught up a little bit. 35, 87, 84. So I don't know.
Sorry, I had to switch up my microphone. Oh, we need to turn that down a little bit. All right, sorry about the rough intro. All right, so Germany, again, they were able to buy 11 infantry. We're now starting to cut down their income so that they're 8, 18, 21, 23, 25, 27, 28, 29. They'll maybe get to 31 next turn. So we're starting to work them down. So I want to really start working on Germany a little bit more and a little bit more. So we are going to buy 7 infantry and a bomber. You can see they attacked West Russia, so they cleared that. So that was one of the interesting things. So now they do have, for Japan's turn, 7 tanks, 8 fighters, and a bomber that can hit Karelia, which will have 10 infantry and 4 artillery. So I need to put a couple UK fighters in there to secure that and make it so that it is safe from the Japan blitzing tanks and hitting air there. So, all right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I think we'll go that way. And I think I want to start bombing them. I want to start wearing them down. There's part of me that's debating. You know what? Yeah, I think better this turn is taking that shot. Because that's going to, I'll get at least 3 value out of killing him and 2 value out of him not getting there. So it's a +5 at a slightly higher risk of getting shot down versus coming down here, which is the average if I don't get shot down is a +3.5. Plus right now, they're not any threat that they don't even have to rebuild those yet. They can build down in Italy. So I think this is the more pressing in the immediate time frame. Shot. Again, I could take shots at these other infantry. I don't know that it's worth it per se. These two really bug me. I almost really do want to kind of hit them. Of course, I hit him. That saves this guy as well. But we've got U.S. and Russian with infantry and fighters that can hit those guys. This saves here. I just don't know that it's worth it, though. I could hit those guys. Now that could be worth it. I didn't realize that. Land them in here. As long as U.S. and... But I might pull them back. Which would expose the planes to the Germans. So, I don't think that's worth it. Oh... Let's see. So yeah, so let's see. I can send one of these fighters up since he's only got 8 fighters here now. I can send one of these fighters. I'd like to send 3 of these. That'd give me 4 up there, and that's what I'd like to have up there in the defense based on what I was looking at. That'd give me 5 fighters left that I could strike there. I need at least 2 to survive. I think I'm going to do it. Actually, I got 1 fighter going that way. So that'll give me 3, and 1 is 4. Again, trying to make him commit with these transports and the fact that I am thinned out right now on where all I can hit with U.S. encounter. Whew, glad we sent everything. Glad we sent the cruiser that way. Who knew the cruiser could be the savior of the battle? Granted, we still had more rolls, but you know what I mean. Nice. We want to take these super clean so that Germany has to be aggressive on their return shots. Nice. All right, come on. Clean sweep, clean sweep. Good. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. They're paying off. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4 going there. You guys coming back to your boat here. You will bring back here. Keep you guys up there. Okay, they are there. Good. Sometimes not always sure where exactly these units up here are. I want to make sure they're matching up correctly. Does he, would you want to strike this? 23, 15, 16? Yeah, we're still okay. If he wants to hit that with his 16 hitters versus 23, I think that should be fine. Yeah, I'm just going to double check it, but that should be fine. I mean, so we're talking 7 tanks, 8 fighters, a bomber versus 9 infantry, 11 artillery, and 3 tanks. What's that look like? Yeah, that looks like not so good value for him. Even with 1 round is 1 round. So yeah, no, I'm okay with that. Next round, maybe we'll start our SBRing. But I could have tried to strike that guy to save that 1, but we're saving the 2 there, plus kill him, so that's a +5 and a +6. So we got +11 using those fighters right over here without getting any hit back. So, well, +12 if you count the fact that he didn't get that one. So that was a nice round, very nice round for us there. Happy with that. All right, so continuing on with our long battle here. We head into the end of round 21, getting ready to start round 22. I have to say, this is one of the longer games I've had in quite a while. I mean, along with Blackadder, we've surpassed the Blackadder game. I had 2 really good long games here, which is fun. Most times games are over by round 7, and most games are conceded at least. You know, the games are figuratively over by round 7 and then conceded around 11 to 13. So yeah, we're getting into more later game strategies. It's been a while since I've had this much attack power in these games, so it's fun. There's definitely mistakes I've made. Some pretty big mistakes I've made, but we're still in it, so that's the good, and I think we're still a little in the advantage. So the interesting part here is kind of like before, as you guys pointed out. I'm way behind on my videos. I just posted the videos a long time ago that he had an opportunity to potentially go for Karelia if he hadn't tried to keep that Kaza stack and just moved them forward and then gone for Corellia and gotten a VC win a while back. I think, when he sunk my fleet, that was bad. He had a chance to go for it there. He may have missed an opportunity there. I don't know. I was trying to keep a close count on numbers and whatnot and trying to keep it so that I could keep him out of there, but I didn't run the calculators out too heavy, so there's a good chance you guys were right about that. But he's got another potential opportunity here where he's got 9-13 ground ready to come into range of Moscow next turn. But as I hoped, he did give me these 2 transports as a sacrifice, and he reestablished down here. He bought 2 carriers and a destroyer this last turn. So he built the 2 carriers, and I did the math. I did do the calculator on this because I was kind of curious. Basically enough to sustain against. He can move this fleet into 34, put the fighters on the carrier, and 13 fighters and a bomber won't have it dead zoned. So in essence, he made it big enough so that he's going to go to 34 next turn. And that means he's investing, and you can see he pulled his tanks back here as well, right? So he definitely came down here. He's investing to make the push in Africa, which is interesting. There's a couple of thoughts to this. So one, an interesting comment here. I don't think either of us expected the game to go this long, to be frankly honest. Both of our builds and timings are off. I ended up, you never want to have more artillery than you have infantry. Really, there's different debates out of there, 1 to 2, or 2 to 1, 3 to 1, 4 to 1. What ratio is the best ratio? I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. It depends how much you're trading and whatnot. But both of us, even he's at a point where if he built 4 artillery next turn and these guys go to Africa and I'm killing these guys, he's going to have more artillery than he has infantry there. Now, I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll change his builds as he bought infantry this turn. But both of us did not expect the game to go this long, and so now I think he's starting to think, well, okay, this game's dragging out. It's going to go for a while. So let's push that Africa, because I've been holding it and I've been slowly creeping a little bit stronger because I've had Africa. So he made this sacrifice to transport, to carrier build in order to make the move into Africa and make a strong move, because he's going to be able to drop 6 units, and he's got 9 tanks, so he can put 15 guys, into Africa, and then move that fleet on into here. Once he breaks the Suez and has that solidified, then he can pump infantry and then start pumping into Italy potentially. Hopefully we'll have enough of a presence to stop him from getting to there, but it has potential to become a nuisance here in a couple turns. But, and he built that destroyer because I built that sub. So I spent 6, he spent 8. I mean, it's an economic game at that point. So I'm happy in that regards. So since I'm on this point, there's good old Pearl here, and I thought about building a transport this turn so that I could just take Pearl, but I'm going to wait a turn. If I build a transport this turn, then he can send 1 carrier back or 1 battleship back, and really make it so that if I take it, and 1 transport back, that if I take it, he would be able to, on the very next turn, I build it on 21, they move to 22, I take it on 22, they take it back on 23. And I could get into a little bit of a build battle with that, because it's closer to my land, and go with it. But I think I'm going to go ahead and let him commit these guys to 34, pull them further out of range so that it's just these 2. Then I can build a destroyer, I can build a transport next turn and maybe a destroyer. And then all he has is a destroyer, and I'll be able to put a destroyer sub there. And then I can start chasing him, and then I can start landing on some of these islands and continue to build here if he stays fixated out here. It'll give me at least a turn or 2 because he'll be over here, then he'll be here, and then he'll be coming back. And so we can create some headaches, steal some of these guys back, you know, different things again, just to slow Japan's advancement down and make them have to turn around again. And with us getting 2 free transports, that'll be a little more challenging. The other thing is, again, here comes a line of, he's got 2 infantry back here in Tokyo, none here, and then he's got this one building, and this one does not. But so after these guys, he's got a round of really no reinforcement heading to Moscow. So he's going to come in J22. This whole line is going to come in, and then all he's got is these 5 guys and production at these 2 spots. Or, well, these 2 guys will come in on, I guess, J23, assuming they don't, if he didn't take anything to Africa. But we already know he's going to take some of that to Africa. He'll have to decide how much he really needs to take. But if I can survive through this line, the J22 build, these guys moving in, and then the J23 attack on Moscow, then he's going to have at least 2 turns of weaker builds to further threaten Moscow, which is good because it's actually getting very narrow again. When I did my calculators, because I did pull out the calculator for J22, and I got the calculator for J23, which is probably even more important, is that J23, the what if he built his maximum, moved all his guys in and built his maximum. Well, we're going to need a lot of fighters again, up to 21 fighters back in Moscow to defend versus J23. So I need to be planning for that potentiality, which, I mean, we've got 11 down here. We've got 10 there, so 21, 25, 26, and then these 3, which will probably need to go back to 4 when he brings this back up, so take 1 out. So we got 25 flexible fighters right now, but we may need to put 21 of them in Moscow. But that's important because at the same time, I'm looking at, I want to put a Baltic stack. I'm hoping to put the Baltic stack on US 22 by UK 22, these guys taking Baltic, and then the US coming in, and then being able to land some US and maybe Russian fighters into the Baltic then at that time. But we're going to need, if he did the maximum build here and yada, 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 and my trades go well, then he's going to need I'm going to need 9 or 10 fighters here. So 21 here, 9 or 10 here. All of a sudden, we're needing 30 fighters to make the move I want to make. And like I said, we got 15, 18, 29. I'm going to risk some on this turn too, as you're going to see. So we're probably not going to have enough. But if we get enough in range of here, then he's not going to buy 3 fighters and a bomber, which is part of the build for the J23, which will free up, 4 or 5 bomber or fighters I was playing on here, which then hopefully that'll give me enough to land in here. I'm not calculating that degree. I'm just kind of planning and mentally thinking, okay, we need enough to keep him from doing an all-out build to strike at Moscow, but hopefully have enough in range here. So I'm planning on putting, all that's to say, I'm going to put my U.S. fighters here. I don't need them in Moscow for J22. So I'm going to put my fighters here, which means I need to clear these guys out so that they're not getting threatened. And all he has is 8 fighters and a bomber. If he wants to take 8 fighters and a bomber, I need to have 8 fighters live. I've got 11 here. So as long as at least 8 of these guys live, if he wants to trade, then that's, so be it. But those 8 to 11 fighters that I'm going to have here can go to France, they can go to Baltic, or they can go to Moscow next turn on US 22. I wish these guys were 1 turn quicker so that would have some land coverage as well, but it is what it is. I guess theoretically he could hit with his German fighters, but I don't think he'd want to do a German fighter strike on my guys. So, a lot going on here. What that comes down to is I need 9 infantry build here for my 5 transports going out. I got 1 here that can come over and then go up. So I need 9 ground build here, and then the rest of the money is, either building ground here or building air here, or the other option was building another transport and extra ground, which I could have done that as well. But because of what we just talked about, instead of going ahead and building 1 more transport, I decided to go with 2 fighters up in C Zone 3 so that we have more flexibility. So we're going to at least a 7 infantry artillery tank we can build in here, plus this infantry coming over, and 2 fighters going into C Zone 3 so that we can get them pumped into here, here, or here as well on the next turn. So that's all the thinking that went into this. Now comes the move. I think I'm going to do this. I hate using my artillery for a trade. Man, I really would rather use... Yeah, I'd rather save them. I am going to move a couple of my infantry over this way, though. And I'm going to need to airstrike that dude. With the UK, that is. I need 1 more Russian fighter right now. I know a lot of people, there's been people saying, go for that that Russian, 3rd Russian fighter right now. I could use it. I hate to use that artillery because, again, in my trades, just because this big stack is part of what's helping try to prevent a double stack again. So, anyways, I mean, with Russia, my plan is a fighter help take this guy, an infantry fighter take out this guy, and then I'm short here. I could try the 2 infantry on 1 infantry. It's like a 67% in my favor, but I do not like that battle. I'm not a big fan of that. I suppose I could try that over here, but I'd still end up using 4 guys. Could use one of these guys here and 1 guy there. No way. Yeah, I think we'll just leave that up for Russia to figure out here. I'll wait till their turn, because what happens down here might play a role on that as well. The good news is I don't have to worry about the whole Karelia tank strike, since he moved his tanks down there and air down here, so we don't have to worry about strikes on Karelia. Alright, I think... I could go 3 and 1. And split my fighters here, US fighters here. That's still 2 more ground I'm using. That'd still be... That would be 3, 4 US, 1 Russian, 5 ground, versus my plan right now is 2, 3, 4. Well, it'd be 5 ground again, too, that way. Decisions, 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 decisions. I kind of like all this going. Let's see the Russian count. If they get 2, 4, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So if we get all those with the Russians, that would be good. I'd rather use less of those guys. I'm going to use both of those guys. I'd rather use them and the fighters over here. Yeah, I think we're just going to go like this. I'm thinking too hard. Way too hard. Thank you, fighters. Good hit. Good hit. Whiff. Oh, that is not what I wanted. Dang it. That is not what I needed. Crap. Oh, that gives me exactly 8 fighters. Man. They got payback on me. That might be painful. I might pay for that one. Maybe I got too greedy. Oh boy. All right, I'll explain some of this here in a second here. I'm just working through everything real quick here. I might change that up. Just going to set everything up first and then look at what we got going. All right, I need to double check my calculators on this. This ended up being a lot. That was the bare minimum I wanted to have happen, but I was hoping for better than the bare minimum. So I need to count up my fighters and see how. I'm glad we built 2 fighters this turn. And that was just the reason I did this is so that tank couldn't blitz through there or those infantry hit with the air hit. Now it has to be just an air versus air. But I did not want. I was hoping only one. I was counting on 1 hit out of these 2. Okay, with 2 hits, 3 hits was my okay. That's the bare minimum. Well, they got me the bare minimum, and really not what I wanted though. I didn't really want the bare minimum. We might pull them back so that in case he moves a mini stack, we can that I don't want to attack. I can go there or there. I was hoping to start SBR in, but I think we're going to have to do an infantry bomber and risk the bomber. We'll figure that out on UK's turn. Okay, I'm going to pause the video for just a second. It'll seem like a split second for you guys because I need to recheck my calculators here on Moscow. All right, yep, nope, that's just making my head hurt too much. So we're just going to kind of go with this. A little concerned with this because, again, he still has German infantry here. So if he takes West Russia back with Germany and hits it with his fighter, so he trades it back with his fighter after we take it. Well, then that still leaves that leaves the issue of, okay, well, then he'll have a Japan tank that could blitz through unless UK seals it, but I want those UK going to Baltic. So, and then he'd have, again, 9 fighters at 9 air that can go 1, 2, 3, 4, cover them up, throw the AA. I'm not going to airstrike it. So, putting the U.S. infantry in there is a bit risky. It will cost him hopefully an infantry and a tank to hit it, but oh. I almost think I should just leave these infantry out and let them stay for the stack this way and hope we can survive here without them being added. We'll have the tanks that could get over there, so we'll have the 3 tanks that could blitz over. I think I'm gonna go that route. I don't think I can protect it this turn the way that I'd want to. The idea coming down here, by the way, is there's a strong chance that if we move the Baltic in, then I'm also going to at the same time do a stack or partial stack on France. I want to stack. I'm hoping to do a Baltic France double stack, potentially on US 22, US 23 at the latest, and hopefully we can hold on to Moscow through it. You know, at some point, if we lose Moscow and we have to go all in, as long as we get Berlin, then we get into the long game, and then this becomes more relevant. So, all right, well, not the round I wanted this time. I'm going to give it a one shot. If he hits me, then I retreat. But I'm going to give it a shot. Oh, come on. Russians, do your job. Oh. What a waste. What a frippin' waste. You make plans for that advanced extra Russia trade for this turn by moving those guys to Belarus just to see him waste. Russian infantry, this is your motherland. Save your motherland. Alright. Well, got lucky on that one, I guess. What's that give us income-wise? 4, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Alright, well, we still hit the 18 at least. I guess I'll be happy about that, but I didn't want that guy to live. I wanted to force Germany more infantry, use up their infantry out here, so then all I can do is trade over here, but whatever. It is what it is. I wonder. We might have enough. Well, 5 and 9. That's going to be tough to have enough. Yeah, we won't have enough because of all of our fighter loss. The U.S. losing 3 fighters, too, because now he won't need all 6 planes to land to take season 34. So he could risk these planes going up that way. And it would take 9, 10 infantry to make that, with the AA, to make that non-profitable. So I think we just have to take what we got and cut our losses. He could, like I said, he could choose hit this with his 9 fighters, land them there, land his Japan on top of them to cover up whatever's left, and then do a max build. And I don't know that I would have enough to. It would be tight. Moscow would be tight, but that would also give me a chance to move pretty heavily on Berlin. So I don't think he would do that. Maybe he'll go for the even Steven trade, U.S. and Japan Air. There's pros and cons each to that, right? They're pretty equal value. Japan Air is needed to defend Berlin or attack here. They're needed to defend here or attack there. So they're pretty even value. So that's up to him if he wants to go for that even Steven trade or not. All right, not exactly the round I wanted, but here's a good old war report. So we're still 48 attack power up. He's back up to 89 income, but German's going to start shrinking a little bit more and a little bit more, or it's going to be harder to hit 30 for him at least. And we're 97 there? Looks like something like that, yeah. So slight advantage for us still right now. The question is if we can take this before Africa becomes relevant. All right, moving on to UK 22. The battle continues. So Germany bought 10 ground, attacked France, Northwest, Poland, Baltic, failed Northwest, and lost 1 in Poland. So he lost 3 infantry on the attacks because he sent 2 to Northwest and 4 to France. 2 to each of these. He won those cleanly. I was surprised he didn't use these infantry to try to hit West Russia. I don't know if he's worrying about counts. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just surprised he didn't hit West Russia with the Germans. Maybe he's saving them for next time, for finding a gap where he could hit there and then blitz Japan troops through. So we're going to face the awkwardness of Japan coming into Africa. These guys are probably toast. We'll have 6 ground laying around there. We probably got to get these fighters back into Russia. I don't think we're going to have enough to stack Baltic, unfortunately. I think we're going to be a little bit short. It'll really depend on what Japan does. That determines whether we can stack Baltic or not. We're going to play the UK to go. We're going to go ahead and trade Baltic with UK so that it'll be an option. But I'm not sure we're going to have enough. And then the next set of US, we probably will need to split some this direction, or come back to West Russia for a turn, split, and then come. I might even do that, this next turn, right? On 22, split them, 23, 24, name for 24. I'd rather stay in Belarus and hope we can take Baltic on 23 then. Ultimately, we've got basically 10 to maybe 12 guys from the U.S. a turn coming into Europe, and 8 guys now of UK. That's 18 to 20 a turn, and he's building 10 to 11 Germans. So as long as we're trading evenly, that means, we're at like 7 to 9, so we'll say 8 plus 8 units per turn entering here. He currently has, 43, 52, 53 defending here. We're going to trade off the rest. 53, but then we also got to give him credit for the 9 planes, so 62 units we got to overcome. So we're going to need like 80 to overcome that. And the number of units we currently have, let's see, 23, 24, 26, 34, 44, 47, 48, 57, 58, and then 64, 66, and 8 is 74, 81. Well, we're not far off, I guess. So a few more rounds, hopefully we should be able to get some push. So I think we're getting close. We're getting close to being able to put some severe pressure on Berlin here. So hopefully 23 we're going in here. And then like 25-ish we're going into here. And then 26, 27 we're taking it over. Now I don't know if we can hold on to Moscow that long or not, but we'll see. So I don't think Africa is really going to be fought for. I might even bring these guys. Well, I'm probably going to leave these two. But the next one I send down here, I might be turning around and bringing them to France or something. So, in any case, we had 30 IPC, so we couldn't quite build 7 infantry and an air. So we're going to build 8 ground, save up enough that we should be able to get an air next time. And I think we are going to start the bombings. I think we'll hold off on air strafing with the UK. Last turn, last US burnt me a little bit. And I think we're going to need these fighters, so as tempting as it is, and I don't know that I want to put UKA here, air here, then the US gets stuck, where then Japan could come back and hit the stranded air if we were to move the US. So I don't really want to put the UK on top of a moving US group. And no, I like hitting him. Because again, it's saving us 2, killing his 3. Overall, technically, that's better IPC value. That's a +5, and it's only a 1/3 chance that he hits a hits a fighter, so that's 3.3 on his. But unfortunately, it's either it's a +5 or it's a -5. It is what it is. Mostly just to keep some opening for, he can move some more here, but hopefully keeping some opening for sneaking in some U.S. if you need to. All right. I don't do this often, if you've seen my videos, so here's where we can show off our 6s. Three. 3. Really? All that build up for 3, which isn't even going to affect them. All right, here we go. Of course. Well, I guess it was good that the cruiser hit.
I'll just bring it over here.
Here comes the airstrike. And 5. Oh, another one. Oh, this round was a killer round on the airstrikes. Drab nabbit. Can't hit him, they're fine. Alright, looks like we're going to do a round of build replenishing fighters coming up here. Tough rounds on the Air Force. There we go. Japan and US still to go. We've got that 50 IPC. Japan's going to build about 3 more attack power than US will do on average. Germany's down to 29. He's still got 10 build spots available, 7 in Germany itself, so hopefully we can start wearing them down here. And there we go. All right, rolling right along into U.S. round 22. So Japan bought a complex for Egypt, a fighter, bomber, and 7 infantry. So very interesting, the fact that he dropped all his tanks, all his fighters, built this complex here. That just really signals that he's planning, to me, that signals he's planning the long game of conquering Africa and then building up and then overwhelming and winning. I think we've got enough buildup on Germany that we can start putting the screws really hard to Germany, and hopefully we'll be able to take it in a few rounds. The downside is he does have all this J air that can fly in. He can build J air here, here, and here. Well, these 2 could be fighters he could build in, or he can't build here because we've been zeroing that, but he could build here and here, where he could build fighters that could all fly in a pinch to help defend Berlin. He can build bomber here, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, bomber here and here can reach. To reach defend. So he's got a lot of backup punch that he can bring to defend, and he may elect to move this fleet down in here into a shuck from Egypt to Italy. I've done that as Axis before. Once he's secured the coast here and he doesn't need any boats there, so he could move that into there, and we have to watch out for that. And then of course there's airstrikes and all sorts of stuff that then come into play as well. So all that's to say, this is going to get a bit interesting now, I think. But I think it's go time. I think it's go now or never. And hopefully by, I'm going to say, I'd love to see 24 be the go, based on the fact that I don't need any fighters in here to defend against Japan 20. Bring up my U.S. Air. I'm probably going to sacrifice one of my fighters to kill his transport. I just can't let a free transport go, I guess. Yeah, so we're all about getting troops up there. Meanwhile, I do want to take advantage of the fact that he moved out there. Yeah, maybe I don't. As I sit here and play with this, maybe I was gonna go ahead and just take this guy, drop a transport now and take him. Drop a transport. He brings a carrier back to here. He can then threaten to hit it when I take it. Well, it's gonna pull. It'll pull a fighter back at least. It'll pull at least one air back. Hopefully this will pull an air back. I'm just trying to think of the timing. Is this turn a good turn, or is next turn maybe a better turn to drop the transport? Let him get a little bit more into there. One, two, three, four, five, six. You could land the bomber there and even prevent me. So, yeah, I think US 25, UK US 25 is my first most realistic target. And we'll look at it a little bit closer when we get to it right now. Obviously, we can figure out what our 23 chances are, which, they're not. It's like 8-9% chance on 23, 24, as we move in more and trade some more. And I didn't actually bring in these guys. Actually, you know what? I forgot to add in those guys. What would 24 look like? Because we're not talking about 22. We're talking about, so we would be adding 8 fighters. 24 might be a realistic, because I didn't add those 8 fighters in. Yeah, I had those 8 fighters in. 24 comes like an 80% chance, depending on what all he does and builds and moves and how trades go and whatnot. So 24 is a possibility. So I think 25 is my realistic. I need to at least keep up until then. So I want to maximize 24 and 25 presence. So if I put a fighter in here in 22, 23, 1, 2, they're here. 24, they're ready to strike. So I can put building a fighter or bomber this turn is good. Building ground, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I still want to max my ground transportation out for a 25 strike, just in case 24 does not look good. So all right, well, let's go with it. So I changed my buy up, 12 ground and a fighter. Reason I went with the tank is I can drop him here in 22, 23, 24. So it's one more tank I can add to 24 and maybe stretch out an attempt on 24. We'll see. We'll see. The other interesting thing that's going to kind of come into play is, 23 UK can go into C-Zone 5 free. 24 and 25, we're probably facing this J fleet that could sink that and the transport, can sink my forward transports in the fleet. So we need to make sure we got a good shot at Berlin on when we go for it. So it's going to be iffy. I don't know. Anyways, I'm done thinking on it. We're going to go. So here we go. Now I got to think and remember what my plan was. What was I going to do? Okay, yeah. I want to keep as me my... I want to push with the Russian infantry as best I can. So I think we're going to let the Russians fighters take these two guys back. I'm really counting on this 87%er to win. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11 fighters. Okay, good. That's what we want. All right, I got my lucky cat here joining me now, so we're going to ignore the fact that he's orange, because that wouldn't be helpful for us. But we need some good battles here. Flash. Let's see here. Yep. I think that is all the U.S. attacks. This is actually pretty important because I want him to have to use air to strike. I'm gonna move my infantry, artillery, land my fighter here, see if he's willing to do airstrikes like I am, and see if he goes for it. I would if I was him, but it will delay his air from being able to put pressure on Moscow, giving me a little bit more freedom for that 24-25 shot that I'm looking for. Because, yeah, we're not gonna have, when we take our shot, that's gonna mean Moscow's gonna be vulnerable. Thank you, fighters and bombers, Air Force. Alright, we need some ace fighter pilots here. There we go, nice fighter pilots. Good job. Alright, let's have some good jungle, no, not jungle, safari troops. There we go, good. Good deal, I'll take it. Now the tanks can't blitz through, so yes, he uses air to to attack my one fighter I'm going to leave down there. I hope not to take pressure off of so I don't need them in Moscow, so over here they can still help put pressure. This at least puts me on all his port sites here, and the destroyer can't reach back to me, so no all of a sudden building transports on the backside here without bringing fleet back. That's the idea of that play. I am making this a little bit vulnerable. This bomber can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if UK doesn't take Northwest Europe. So Germany could make a play to stack Northwest Europe, put a mini stack there, and still stack Berlin. Potentially, I don't know. But I could always shift a destroyer, UK destroyer up here before Japan's turn, and bring a fighter into Sea Zone 8 before Germany's turn if need be to mitigate that if that happens. So we're going to try to slow the blitz as best as we can. There's only so much we can do there, but again, our focus now is full pressure on Berlin, so make sure I didn't miss anybody. I've been making a lot of blunders lately. Could have built the fighter up here, but I want max units going. If I built 11 ground here, that's one that's not making it for US 25. So that's why we're doing that. That's why we're leaving that exposed, but we got our backup plan. If we need to enforce it, we can. Hold tall, Russia. Whoop. Do I want to send both? I think I do. Just to prevent him from coming back, I want to make him use these troops, so let's keep these good dice going, Flash. Ace fighter pilots. said ace fighter pilots. We need them to hit. Come on. Thank you. There we go. All right. We could have got away with only sending one guy. Too bad. All right. This is what the front's looking like. Hopefully we are streaming enough in here fastly enough that we can start really putting the screws down on Berlin here. I didn't have enough to afford to put somebody in here to trade this when Japan takes it, unfortunately. But so be it. Alright. War report is looking like this. 53. Still, they're up to 87 again. But that's decreasing and that's decreasing. So he's down to 17. You know, he'll get 8, 10 back. So back up to 27. Maybe he gets 29 if he goes for that. So, and hopefully we can continue to SBR and make that even harder and harder. Here we go. Okay, so we go on to UK 23 here. Continue on to the later rounds. So Germany bought 9 infantry, did a little bit of the repair. They've got 25 IPC now. They're still at -1, so they'll be able to build 8. If you get a -2, they'll still be able to build 8. Any more than that, we start taking away from them. Meanwhile, all the plans I'm planning, it's kind of depends on how well I take France and how much he needs to use if he attacks France. But we're looking like we're going to have anywhere between like a 60 to an 85% shot on Berlin on UK US 24. And that's not counting this fighter. I'm counting him on hitting the fighter, but if he doesn't, then this fighter flies over and he could join the battle as well. So we're getting down to crunch time here. Whether we take that or not will depend on just what everything else looks like. So I'm okay with retreating, essentially doing a retreat where I try to slow his tanks down, but retreat out of Africa, let Africa fall if we can take Berlin and hold on to Moscow especially. So that's our plan. Now the problem is he's just got so much Japan Air and he's got so much money he can build more Japan Air and fly in there. But if he spends so much on flying air in there, then he's not going to be building this back up. So we'll see. So I need to start purchasing for the biggest attack power I can create for 24. And with only 8 build spots, essentially this is it. I think theoretically if I exchange some of these extra IPC for artilleries to tanks, it'd be slightly more. I looked at fighter bomber combinations taking away artilleries and it's actually weaker overall in the attack strength. So I think, you know, right now I think this is the best build. It saves me 5 because there's a good chance we're actually going to go for it on 25 instead of 24, in which case I may want that extra money to build. I may need to build a boat if he brings all his UK or Japan Air over. We may have to look at building fighters, bombers, whatever. So I'm going to save the money, get a max attack power, but save a little bit of money. So the one thing I do need to double check, I need to double check my numbers here. He's got 46, 47, 48, 49. These guys are out. This guy's 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 49 units attacking. We've got 52, 53, 54, 55. Defending. I believe we're okay. I'm going to double check that just to be on the safe side. It's a little bit questionable. This is, again, a big part of what our 24 chances will be, or it's going to be based off of what happens there. I think, you know what, we're just going to take this as cleanly as we possibly can. We've got some UKs to use, so let's put up fodder for Germany to have to trade. And yes, we can take all these fighters away, and he still only has an 11% shot on Moscow with Japan this turn. So that means we can get all our J air in range, at least for the 24 strike now. Of course, he's going to move guys in. He'll bring tanks back. He'll get these fighters back in range. Or move the fighters to Berlin, in which case they wouldn't be in range. But one way or the other, that's, there's a good chance we're going to have to peel some back if we want to hold Moscow. So we're going to have to hold that into mind when we figure everything out as well. Oh, just to make sure we kill the, You know what? It's a lot there. What if we take one of the transports with just infantry? Let's hold them back. So this will be 10. So 1.5, 3.5 plus that. So we should get about 4 hits there. Because I might want to distribute and make it a little more awkward. Have 3 here and whatever's left here, and that way he has to distribute his units out and distribute his fighters. So. All right, here we go. 4, 6, 4 and 6. 4 and 3. All right, 6 and 6. 5. All right, well, it does mean he won't be able to build as many infantry. Let's see, he can build 6. That leaves him 7. So he can build 7 infantry, or 6 infantry and an AA if he wants. There we go. Good. Oh, nice. Super nice. Okay. We can keep him over here. I'm going to double check that we don't have an opportunity to stack France because we can move these fighters over. But I don't think I want to do that because I'm a little nervous about back here. But I'm just going to take a look at that. What if we flew 12 fighters over to France and had 20 men come down? That'd be 26, 38. Actually, that's probably not good anyways. Looking at those numbers. Because he's got 54 units he could hit there. We could drop... Well, we could move him down too. So we could put 3, 7, 9. So we have 9, 29, 39, 41 units. This 54. I can't imagine that would be good. But if he struck that, would that mean he leaves me the capability to hit here? That could be. Let's pause a second. Let's see what that says. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna put them here. I'm gonna leave the 1 here. I could put him on France, and it wouldn't be stacked. But if he attacked it, 1 round strafe would be negative for him. 2 round strafe, he'd actually have lost 28 infantry in doing it, and I would be able to take it easily with the remaining guys over here. So if we stacked it, we'd have to send our 12 U.S. fighters over there. I forgot to get this guy. I forgot about this fighter back here in my calculations. But if he does a max build to pressure Moscow for J-24, I would need 14 fighters to be able to make it back here. And if I move all 12 U.S. fighters this way, that doesn't work. So we are gonna stack France heavy, make them have to trade heavy, but most likely we can make the decision on U.S. turn based on what Japan builds. We'll be able to figure out what their J-24 strength is, and we'll be able to figure out what we need to send this way and what we can come this way and what our chances are in Berlin. Now, if I could take Berlin and right before they take Moscow, I still think that's going to be a winning hand. I'm going to take it, and we'll continue on into the late game, but I'd feel pretty good about where we stand then. All right. So that said, we're going to drop them there, make sure we moved everybody else around. So, yep, I think that's it. All right, let's see what he decides to do. So he could go and send everything in to reinforce Berlin, or he could build to pressure Moscow, depending on what he does. If he reinforces Berlin, I might just go ahead and do that stack so that I can bring my other carrier and fighter, bring these other fighters and protect from the 1-2 air invasion. And probably be able to take Berlin, and he won't be able to get back to Moscow. So we'll see. Our U.S. plan will depend heavily on what Japan does. It's in their hands now. All right. I think it's time. Time to push all in. So here we go. Japan. So Japan, as expected, they bought a bunch of fighters. They put them in Egypt. They put them down here in Caucasus. So that's where he built his 4 fighters, and then his infantry in there, and then wherever back here. So I guess it's India and back here. So, anyways, that was his build. You can see he went for protecting Berlin and taking Africa income. And with this, if I leave all 10 transports in C-Zone 3 so I can take these 10 guys and these 10 guys that are going to be sitting in Karelia, I believe that gives me a 99% chance of taking Berlin. It means, yes, I'm going to lose efficiency. These 10 guys are just going to be sitting over here doing nothing. But it gives us a 1-2 shot on Berlin. If I did all my calculator math correctly, that we should have a good shot there. Subsequently, his build means I only need my 2 Russian fighters in Moscow to protect it. from J24. I'm sure J25 might be a little bit different, especially when we're doing all our attacking. So I had two options of setting up the US. I could, like I said, just leave these 5 transports here, transport up, shuffle around. Or I could have taken all 10 transports into C-Zone 8 and dropped them in France, and then shuffled fighters over and did a double stack this way. The problem there is he does have a decent 1-2 of German fighters, Japan air onto here. That would be tough for me to combat. Not that I couldn't, but it'd be tough and a little bit awkward. And my U.S. fighters would be, all my fighters would be over here, making it hard to come back to Moscow if I don't need all of my fighters to hit Moscow or Berlin, that I could get them back to defend Moscow from a J-25. So the awkward thing is I think I'm going to have to sacrifice my 4 UK transports, because the moment the UK fleet on UK 24 moves into C-Zone 5, Japan's got, 11 fighters and 2 bombers staring it down. So 11 fighters, 2 bombers, they'd wipe my fleet if I go in there. Now I might just go ahead and stick this all in there and let him wipe them. Bang his planes up against my planes and weaken Berlin a little bit more for the U.S. so that maybe I don't have to take all 10 transports. Maybe I can send some of the transports back. Maybe I don't have to use all fighters. Maybe some of those fighters can go over here. So I'll probably go ahead and stuff all of this in here and see what I would need to build to, drop maybe a carrier and a transport here with a couple fighters living going over to there. But whole point of that is 10 transports in C-Zone 3 is easier to protect than 10 transports down here. I just got to put 2 fighters up on this guy. We've certainly got plenty of fighters running around here, including this one coming from over here. We do have this fighter that I could land on this carrier, but I'm not going to, because he doesn't need all 13 planes to wipe out the UK fleet. I don't want to leave. I'm only going to have just a single carrier and a fighter sitting there. I don't want to give him a free, easy shot there, so I'll land the fighter. Well, maybe I will land him on the carrier. I was going to say I was going to land him in Gibraltar where they could still strike, but he could still just hit the fighter and he wouldn't have to worry about chewing to the carrier at all. So, you know what? I will put him on there. That makes a little bit more sense. So yeah. I'm loading all in. I'm not going to put this to chance. So we're going to build 2 bombers here, which would be exposed to these 9 fighters and 8 fighters and bomber. Except for these 10 units, I don't need to drop them in Finland. I can just drop them in Norway, because they're going to be getting a ride regardless. These 10 are going to need a transport ride to get to the Berlin on the next round regardless. So I feel like this is one of those moments I'm very nervous. I feel like I'm forgetting something. So yeah, so we're looking at buying 2 bombers, like I said, to place there. We're looking to drop a transport over here to grab Pearl, since their boats are way over here now. I'm going to go ahead and throw a destroyer there. And I had 8 IPC left over. I think I'm just going to go build me a transport, since we may be dumping all there, and it's going to be really slow. And we can start trickling a little bit, guys. I mean, obviously, you can take up to 12 transports with production out of West USA. That would take us 11, but I also think, we're going to be doing some where we transport from Berlin to Karelia to going on in. So, in any case, we got a plan. Yeah, we're not going to attack anything there. We're just going to space out. prevent easy blitzing, which I'll be able to hit. Blitz 1, Blitz 2. Maybe we'll just keep 2 sitting here since he only has 1 infantry, 1 tank. Tank goes that way, tank 2 tanks. So he could sit, yeah. I mean, there's nothing really good to do here. So, because he can just split there. He can go 1, 1, 1. Yeah, we're going to just keep them together, make them have to use 2 tanks on them so that the tanks aren't going back this way towards Moscow. I think that's what we're going to do. And this guy's just going to plug right there. He's going to hang tight. I almost wanted to bomb here, but I think we're gonna hold off on that. Let's take this, make this a good one. I was gonna think the 3 infantry one, but I don't think I want to do that. I sent 2 because he's gonna have to hit him with Germans, and well, I guess he could hit 1 German and 9 planes and take that shot. Maybe I should have just sent 1. Oh, come on. Thank you. He can be here, so he can help defend anything that might come on here while still targeting. We gotta be careful. You can drop a destroyer there, but we'll go here. Oh, I forgot I should have built an infantry. But we got 1 infantry at least we can grab. That would have been really silly if I built this and I couldn't actually grab it. Let's see. We got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 17. Hopefully we get 19, but we'll leave the 2. Besides, if we do get the 19, that'll give us a 7 build. So I was debating whether I should build the AA, but I think we're just going to keep stacking our infantry up. They all hit, of course. Nice. We'll take the income, though. We will not worry about this, but we do need to make sure we remember to put 1 of these UK guys in here to stop a blitz and a whole bunch of air striking into my guys there. So let's do this. I so rarely use these, but I don't want to forget something silly like that. There we go. So I hope I did my calculator math right, and I hope we can strike Berlin, and hopefully we can win this game. We'll see. All right, so we should have Berlin locked up. Now the question is the most efficient way to do it? I'm probably not going to do it. I don't know. Like I said, he's going to be able to kill the 4 transports regardless, but I'm going to go ahead. What I can't afford is 1 infantry, 1 fighter, 1 transport, and 1 carrier to drop in C-Zone 7 so that he could not hit it. And that'll leave me 1 infantry. Well, it'll leave me that 1 infantry I build, the fighter, to try and take France next turn, I guess. Well, I guess that just may be what it is. I think I'm not going to attack with 4 fighters just to save them to land in C-Zone 5. You can kill him with J, but the more planes I take out, the less transports US needs to take in and can head over here. So yeah, I think we're going to attack with everything but 4 fighters just to make sure that 4 live. Because he's got enough to hit a lot. Like wipe my entire attacking force out, UK force out. So, yeah. I think that's what we're going to do. Actually, we'll leave 1 infantry back and grab 1 of these infantry with the transport. That way we have 2 infantry for attacking France next turn. So, his turn, he just repaired. And I don't know if it was an error. I'm guessing it's an error that he forgot to click to build the infantry. But even if he had built the 7 infantry that he could have still built, we would have still wiped it. I'm sure he didn't mean to save it because that means he gave me more in the bank saved. Unless he really didn't think I could beat him right now. Maybe I'll move 1 destroyer up here just in case. Actually, he's only got the 1 bomber that can go up there regardless. So, no, I don't think I will. Oh, where's my cruiser? He can jump in there. Be nice if we can knock that, if he's got that AA first. Alright, took the AA. He got 1 hit back. Oh. Well, that was a huge waste. That is not good. Good gosh, my gosh. I got 4 hits. I had, take the cruiser out, 53 attack power going into there. That should have been 9 hits. I got 4? gosh. Well, safe to say that didn't go as planned. Just in case, since it's not looking great. Well, I mean, it still looks great. We should still have an easy US take. Let's see, US by themselves. On the remainder, 4. God, dog it. So we don't have to worry about the A, I guess. Be happy about that, Chris. All right, 21 bombers. So if we send all 10 transports in, we've got a 99.7% chance of winning. So we should be in okay shape there. But man, and here we go. Let's see US. All right. Woo-wee. Here we go. We got very lucky. Well, almost got very unlucky, I should say. He went for that one bomber versus the loaded carrier, and I had fighters last even, you know. So it should have been like a, I don't know, 6%, 7%, something like that shot. But he did manage to kill off the both fighters and the carrier, but then his bomber got shot down. So the 10 transports survived, because that's the only way this is happening, is with those 10 transports being alive, or well, at least some of them. So looking at the board, we've got a 99% shot at taking it if we take all 10 transports in. I'll be frankly honest, I've seen too many Dice Gods moments that I'm going to take it all in except for these two guys, and I'll explain that in a second here. Because he put all his fighters that he had, he built 5 fighters, 5 more fighters in case he survives, and 3 infantry. So he's all in here as well. He's moved most of his fleet in. He moved part of his fleet back to India. He moves most of his fleet into here. Yeah. The biggest, I'm just considering something here. I got a couple things go through my head. I got to think through just a little bit from what my plan was going to be. I might change it up just a little bit as I think about this. Yeah, I'll have to think about this for a second. Just his last Hail Mary could be bringing a loaded transport and 4 fighters out here, and I wasn't planning on dealing with that. I need to see what we've got left. I mean, we should have enough UK that we move them down into 8, that we should be able to put a stop to that. I gotta check that out though. I just want to make sure. I don't want to end up giving him a Japan doing something crazy over here with UK and DC as a Hail Mary. Anyways, I'm going to push all the boats in. We're going to make sure that we actually take this, and we take it with pretty good force, hopefully. Then the UK fighters can airstrike these 2 guys here so that there's no chance of Japan coming back and the U.S. guys, as I said, I'm going to keep these two alive. I'm going to move one here so that they block the tanks, so that they'll have no ground troops ready to retake Berlin with the 4 fighters, coming back and landing here. So we'll make it so that Japan can't retake. And then our last threat will be Japan coming out here and putting threats out here. So we'll double check what we got going on here. We'll assume that we lose 2 fighters, taking out the Italians, and then what does that leave us with? 3 carriers, 2 destroyers. If we build fighters, if we do whatever we do in Sea Zone 8, can we keep them contained? So that's what I'm going to pause for a second just to verify. So yeah, I think if the UK loses 2, it leaves us a 70% chance that, well, if we build a fighter bomber, we only got 22 IPC to spend in UK. If we spend those, then we'll be able to contain the fleet, even with 4 fighters, 2 carriers, 2 battleships, and a cruiser coming out there. As a safeguard, we'll land any of our remaining U.S. air over here after I double check Moscow, but I don't think Moscow is going to be under any real threat after we take out these guys. And with the tanks going this direction, the tanks aren't getting back into the picture, so I don't foresee Moscow being under any real threat. So yeah, he'll have less than 1% shot on Moscow, and in realizing it, since he left Northwest Europe, we can land our U.S. Air Force here. There are 2 shots from there, 2 shots from there, and they can all get back to Moscow the following turn if need be. So we're going to drop our 2 infantry here just to keep growth alive here, since we're going to have a long stall, since these 10 transports have to go here to go to those guys. This guy to go here. He'll get a couple of them back before we get 5 of those transports back. Meanwhile, we'll start building on the mainland, taking Italy, get these factories for U.S. up and running. So meanwhile, we will start up our Pacific campaign with a carrier and transport. And actually, I lied. I'll probably put those 2 infantry here. We won't put them in Norway after all, just because I should have moved some of these guys back last turn instead of having them just sit here. But anyways, we're going to put the 2 infantry here so that we can get our transports starting to create havoc back here. He only sent a battleship carrier destroyer, so we'll have a sub-destroyer carrier all ready to match him. So we'll be getting in a build battle. Now, yes, Jay does have more income. This turn, we're going to get hopefully a bunch of income from them. And we'll be able to battle here. And then Japan has to worry about both fronts. And this should be a 1 game as long as we win this battle. That can't have the dice that UK had. That's why I'm sending all 10 in. We're going all in. Here we go. All right, enough talking. Let's just do this. Let's make sure that this is what we got. So the calculator says 98.9% chance of winning with 180, what was it? 183.9, 184 profit. So here we go. Oh. Yeah. So here we go. What's this say? Strong. Yay. 5 out of there. 29 hits. Let's see. We should have had 20, 42, 20, 29 hits is almost right, dead on for what we should have had. If I'm doing my quick math, 42, 27, actually. No. It's early in the morning. I haven't finished my coffee. 27 is what middle would have been. Their middle will be about 27 as well. 29. Wow. Glad we both hit 29. And I'm not calculating out what we should be getting here. That looks good. Those look good. I don't know what it should have been, but it looked good. That's going to look much better. There we go. Yeah, we'll still take all the artilleries. That's enough ground. I guess I could have saved some infantry. Smart thing. The maximum efficiency thing would have been to save some infantry so that we could then use these transports, the ones that we don't want pulled out, to move them straight up to Karelia. Get them a turn faster up that way. But I'm not smart, so we didn't do that. Fighters can't reach over here. They can't reach there, so that'll be safe. I think we can leave the carrier there then. Oh, I was going to stop him from blitzing, but I guess well, no, UK will get a turn first, so then they can put the blitz stop. He's still at 4 air. I'm still planning just in case he hangs in here, but I think that should be a good game because all this air now can come over here. We'll clean, like I said, UK will clean this up. UK will hit here, so this is going to be UK's targets. And we've got this transport and all this air that could hit any ground, plus hit fleets, so I think we should be in good shape. Nothing to do elsewhere. Yep, I think we just do that. Let him have Karelia for a turn if he wants it. It's fine. We got tanks blitzing and whatnot. We'll take it back if he wants to hang in there. So we'll get these two. That'll get us to 9. So then we either got to get to India or Philippines to win the game. By Victory City if he doesn't forfeit. did their job. Good job, guys. I think that leaves them like a 1 to 2% shot on Moscow. And of course, I'm going to be perfectly happy with that. I'm maybe moving him out, maybe give him a little bit more than that. So maybe he's got like a 5% shot. Maybe I shouldn't have given him a 5% shot. Whatever. That should be game, I think. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 58. 1, 2, 25. 27, 29. Yeah, that gives him a 1.6% chance of taking Moscow. I'm okay with that. Oh, I did give him I did give a mistake. All right. We'll see if he hangs in or not. If he doesn't hang in, I'd say my biggest lesson here for those playing, I mean, there's a lot that happened during this game's 25-round game, so I don't honestly recall. I don't even remember how did our G1, our Russia 1 start? I don't even remember this game. We lost 2, that's about average for the West Russia Jam, so very well. See one that went, he took my C-Zone 12 or 10. Yeah. He took C-Zone 10. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I kind of remember. In any case, my point for this game, my final thought on this game and what I think was the deciding factor, I don't think this game should have been as long if I hadn't played around with dropping India Fleet and challenging him down here. If I hadn't done that and he still built all those boats and planes and these factories down here, and I just played a more traditional KGF from that point, I probably would have won this earlier. I feel like if I hadn't lost my fleet, I probably could have won this a couple rounds earlier. So those are my two mistakes, if you will. And this was more fun than mistake. I know that I knew at the time that wasn't the best approach based on how he was building, but I just wanted to because I like to. But the more hardcore lesson here was Africa, and I think the key there was I did contest Africa. I mean, it was right off the bat. It was important. I sacrificed fighters. I dead zone 34 and sacrificed people just to make sure that we had landing spots. We took airstrikes on him here. I know some people aren't big fans of airstrikes, but generally they're about IPC neutral if you have at least twice as many planes as ground units there. So most of my airstrikes are more than twice as many planes, so I was okay with them, even though we did take some heavy losses at some points. We had some great wins with them too. But, I did contest Africa, and that was important. If I hadn't contested Africa, he would have got his income up even quicker and then reverse these around and got back into Moscow quicker. So I did contest Africa, and I contested it up until I saw, okay, we're getting close. We have the timing for getting into Berlin. And that's when that last boat I sent that I landed here, I already knew I was giving Africa up at that time, but I wanted him to commit, which was important that he sent those 8 tanks into Africa instead of retreating them back. If he pulled them back and pulled his fighters back, then I would have to figure out, okay, do I protect Moscow? Do I continue on Berlin? Or how I'd have to divide that up. His other mistake was that stack he'd lost on Kaza. But yeah, so when he put that factory down here and built the 2 carriers, I think it was, over here, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's all in on Africa. So Moscow is going to become easier to defend because he's focused on Africa. And I was, even when I built those extra couple transports, got up to 10 transports, I was at that point committed. Okay, we're heading to Berlin. So Africa is extremely important at the timing of the game, but once you have the timing, once you have the overwhelming, and I don't know the exact amount to say, but I was within 10 to 20 units of his count or something like that. Um, I knew with 4 transports and 5 transports, so 18, 20 units a turn coming in here, and it was only going to be a matter of a few more turns before I was going to be able to take Berlin. So, in any case, that's my thought. I think it's important to know when to fight for Africa and when to say, okay, it's yours. I'm going to take Berlin, or vice versa. With Japan, you got to know you really want to fight for Africa if you're planning on for a longer game, and this is a longer game. Um, but at the same time, you got to watch your count. And once we finally started corralling Germany and we took Persia to finally start, kind of limiting their income a little bit more and a little bit more, that was a big turning point. All right, we'll see what he does. I'll come back and I'll hopefully show a victory screen next. All right, so fresh off the press, and as I kind of hoped, we got the victory scene. So we are good to go here. Final state of the board, just again. He didn't actually do anything with Germany. He realized it was over at that point. So, especially with our 15 there, we were going to be able to take out that fleet. They weren't going to be able to create any havoc. So, there's that. I always like to check. Now, this has an update because I was already Team 80 at 8-1, so and it takes an hour for ranks to update after you win, and this I was literally just sitting here when I saw the alert came through, so that's not up to date. But let me take a look. So yeah, he's a very solid player. So that's a good win. Pretty much his axis was pretty much even with my allies, so it was a good matchup too. So yeah. There we go. So we'll be heading on to the next game, and I'll update whatever my profile ends up updating to when we get ready to start the next one. I've got 2 other games going currently. This one's going really well. This should be a win, so I might wait till I win that one before queuing up again to see if I can jump up. This game, it's early. I made a stupid mistake. Not a mistake. I just didn't count, and so we might be in big trouble with this one, unfortunately. So hopefully I can win this one and queue up another game before I lose that one. And we'll see how if we can break the top 50. I don't know how much I'll jump with a win here. So there we go.